Now, beginning this argument, I'll just quote the first passage here, and it seems really as though this argument is a form of pickup line, right? So, right off the bat here on page 7, right by 231a, you will find, "You understand my situation. I've told you how good it would be for us, in my opinion, if this worked out. In any case, I do not think I should lose the chance to get what I'm asking for merely because I do not happen to be in love with you." So it's quite clear that what Lysias is doing with this speech that Phaedrus is reading to the character Socrates, who is the mouthpiece for Plato, as confusing as that is, but nonetheless, this is Lysias's argument. Right? So when I ask you later to distinguish between the arguments, you'll be able to do that. What Lysias is doing here is he's about to present a series of smaller arguments, all leading to the conclusion that it's better to be with somebody who doesn't love you than to be with somebody who does. Right? And these arguments, it's one of the reasons I choose this dialogue is because these arguments are kind of funny, and we can all kind of relate to them. Right? And the form that these arguments follow is on the board behind me. Lysias is about to present a problem with love, demonstrate how that problem is not a problem with non-love, and conclude that non-love is to be preferred to love. And by my count here, there are about 9 of these smaller arguments. We'll just spot check a few of them here. The first one, right, reads, and it's just below where I was quoting there, "A man in love will wish he had not done you any favors once his desire dies down, but the time will never come for a man who's not in love with you to change his mind. That is because the favors he does for you are not forced, but voluntary, and he does the best that he possibly can for you, just as he would for his own business." Right? So the idea here is that when you're in love, you do all of these favors. Sure, I'll help you move. Sure, I'll help you clean. Sure, I'll do your dishes, etc., etc., etc. But when the desire dies down, the person who was in love will then, when the desires died down, wish that they hadn't done any favors. Whereas in a case where you're just maybe helping out a friend, right? Well, when you do them favors, when you help your friend move, when you help your friend do the dishes, when you help your friend tend their lawn or what have you, right, you don't really regret that, right, because those favors aren't forced, but rather they're genuine, right? So again, spot checking these. The important one that you'll find on page 8 towards the bottom, this is sort of the linchpin of Lysias's argument, and you'll see Socrates actually picks up this line of argument later, so this is important. Right, right by 231b on page 8, you'll find, "In any way, what sense does it make to throw away something like that on a person who's fallen into such a miserable condition that those who have suffered it don't even try to defend against it? A lover will admit that he's more sick than sound in a head. He's aware that he's not thinking straight, but he'll say he can't get himself under control. So when he does start thinking straight, why would he stand by the decisions he's made when he was sick?" Right? So when somebody is in love, it's a sickness in the head, right? "I'm crazy in love with you," right? Etc., etc. If you look at any pop song, you'll find this theme throughout it. If you look at any romantic poetry, right? "I'm madly in love with you," right? Seems to be the key here, right? So when you're in love, for the sake of that love, what you wind up doing is making all of these crazy decisions, right? Whereas if you're not in love, you keep your wits about you. Therefore, non-love is to be preferred to love. Right? So again, this is a series of this type of arguments providing strong support, right, to the conclusion that we should prefer non-love to a love relationship. Now, the fifth argument on the top of page 9, I've always gotten sort of a kick out of this. Love limits your options, right? Whereas if you don't care whether somebody loves you or not, right? The sky's the limit. It goes like this. And another point, if you were to choose the best of those who are in love with you, you'd have a pretty small group to pick from, but you'll have a large group if you don't care whether he loves you or not, and just pick the one who suits you best. In the larger pool, you'll have much better hope of finding someone who deserves your friendship. Right? Now, towards the bottom of that same page, right, there is another important point that Lysias is making with regard to this. Another point, have you been alarmed by the thought that it's hard for friendships to last, or that when people break up, it's ordinarily just as awful for one side as for the other. But when you've given up what's most important to you already, then your loss is greater than his. If so, it would make more sense for you to be afraid of lovers, for a lover is more easily annoyed, and whatever happens, he'll think it was designed to hurt him. That is why a lover prevents the boy he loves from spending time with other people. He's afraid that wealthy men will outshine them with their money, while men of education will turn out to have the advantage of greater intelligence. And he watches like a hawk everyone who may have any other advantage over him. Once he's persuaded you to turn those people away, he'll have you completely isolated from his friends. And if you show more sense than he does, looking after your own interests, you'll come to quarrel with him. But if a man really does not love you, it's only because of his excellence that he got what he asked for, and then he won't be jealous of the people who spend time with you. Right? So lovers are jealous. A non-lover, right? A non-love relationship, sort of, and what he means by that is sort of a friends with benefits kind of relationship. Make no mistake, what Lysias is arguing for is a sexual relationship, right? What you'll find here, right, is that lovers are bloody jealous, whereas in a non-love relationship, sort of friends with benefit, you won't have that element of jealousy, right? So the theme throughout these kinds of the kinds of love relationships that Lysias is discussing here is that they're problematic because we generally don't keep our wits about us, right? Whereas if we're not in love, we take care of our business. We keep a level head. We are, not lovesick, so we don't make stupid decisions that wind up hurtful. Right? So a non-love relationship, according to Lysias, is preferable to a love relationship insofar as these nasty consequences of a love relationship don't follow, right? Within a non-love relationship, right? Now, I'm sure we can all relate to this because we've, to some extent all had these crushes or these crazy love relationships. I know myself, I've gone through a number of them where I've done a series of really stupid things, all based on the apparent reason, I love you. Right? Now what Lysias is pointing out here is that I love you, right, is based on some sort of form of desire, and that form of desire, once it dies down, right, takes the reason for doing all of these things that can be harmful, that can be costly to you, away. Right? So what you wind up doing in love is really dumb, stupid, foolish, wrong-headed, counterintuitive sorts of things. Whereas in a non-love relationship, right, if it's just friends with benefits, right, then what you'll find is that you keep your wits about you. You involve yourself only to the extent that it's rational or, wise to do so, right? And you still get all the benefits of a love relationship, only without the crazy-making factor, right? So Lysias, through this series of, I count 10, and I'm going to leave it to you to read over most of them, but I've just spot-checked a few here, has offered a series of reasons, right, providing strong support to the conclusion why it's better to have a non-love relationship than a love relationship.